Welcome back to the Bernat Blanket Stitch Along. All right, let's start on clue number 3. Oh wait, what did we do last week? We worked on this strip here. Just one. So this is where you should be, and if you need a reminder, you can go check out the previous week's video for a reference. And this was their color scheme, and this one's mine, so you can see that contrast. Remember, this one's got a variegated yarn in it, so it's going to look a little different if it's going to be in a solid. All right, so let's get started on clue number 3. Let's start off with the abbreviations over here. So most everything you already know. We've got a couple of new things up right here. Guess what? We're not purling this week. Oh my goodness, can you believe? Did you get the hint from last week? All right, so you may be overwhelmed reading this abbreviation list right here. You may not have seen it before. It's SL1PYB. What? And then there's an SL1PYF. There's only one difference. One is B, one is F, and one's back and one's front. So let's look at this more closely. SL is slip, and there's one because you're only doing one. And then it's slip the next stitch. Okay, so that's what that is. Purlwise, that's the P. With the yarn at back of work, that's the YB. So it's spelling it all out for you. So slip 1, purlwise, yarn, back. Same thing with the SL1PYF. You're just going to slip stitch purlwise again, but it's with the yarn at the front of the work. All right, I'm going to show you how that's done. Let's get right into the pattern now. All right, let's jump right into the instructions. We're still on an easy pattern here, but it may look a little bit harder when you just first glance if you've never done anything like this before. So we're going to make one strip just as last week, but it's a far wider panel. Last week we worked with 13 stitches and now it's 43. We'll start with A, which is dark gray for me, and we're going to be working on these 4 rows back and forth for the entire panel. The first 2 rows work with A, the next 2 rows work with C, and then we flip back and forth. Okay, so the difference is on all the odd rows, we will be slipping purlwise with the yarn in the back, and the third row is slipping purlwise with the yarn in back, same thing. And then on the second and fourth row, so all the even rows, we're going to be slipping purlwise with the yarn in the front. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. The difference is when you're working with the same color, you start with the knit 3 and then slip it and knit 3 and go back and forth between slipping and knitting 3. And row 2 is the same thing, knitting 3, slipping and knitting 3, and then go back and forth between slipping and knitting 3. The difference is between these two, the purling is you're going to be holding the yarn in the back or the front. And then the third row is very similar, only it shifts it over by knitting 1 first and then doing the same thing that we did in the other one. So you're just going to continue on. And we'll go right into this. I'll refer to the directions off to the side. Be sure and get that pattern downloaded and right next to you so you can see that. Okay, and then we'll just continue going on until the end and we'll cast off together and complete this. Let's get right into it and cast on. Okay, we're going to cast on. Make sure you've got your long tail that's enough for 43 stitches. We're going to slip that on. Okay, put the tail in the front, ball at the back, and we're going to pick up from the thumb, go down through the finger, down through the thumb. You've got this. If you've been following the last couple of weeks, you've got it. If not, go back and review, or we've got some slower motion videos. Cast on 43 stitches and pause your video, and I'll see you when you've got that. We'll begin with row 1. We're ready to go on to the first row after we've cast on 43 stitches. Make sure it's not too tight, or that cast on edge is going to be a little skinnier than the rest of your work. So make sure it's nice and loose. All right, we're going to, with at color A, still the same color, knit 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now is going to come where we have the repeat in our section. So we're going to go ahead and do the slipping. Okay, so we're going to slip 1 stitch purlwise with the yarn at the back, and it's already that way. Okay, so all the even rows are going to be the opposite way. So we're on an odd row. So it's going to stay in the back. It's going to be real simple. Now we're going to knit 3. 1, 2, 3, and then repeat. Slip 1, knit 3. So you're going to continue slipping 1 and knitting 3 to the end of your row, and I'll meet you back for the second row. Okay, the second row, we're going to continue on with the same color and knit 3, just as we did before. This is right before the asterisk. So 1, 2, and this is 3. And now we're going to slip with the yarn in front. So slip purlwise with the yarn in front. Move that yarn to the front. Slip it purlwise. We're not actually purling. And then move the yarn to the back again. And then knit 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we're going to repeat with the asterisk. So yarn front, slip, and then 1, 2, 3. So you've got to make sure and put that yarn to the back when you want to knit. Otherwise, you're going to start increasing stitches, and we don't want to do that. So on all the second rows, you will make sure that it's got that yarn in the front just when you're slipping, and then it goes back. So what it's doing is it's actually wrapping around this stitch here for you. Okay, so you could call it a wrap stitch, but we're not turning or anything like that. So you're just going straight across and making this wrapped. So all the ones in the back are going to be wrapped, all the ones on the wrong side. So if I flip this back over, I'll show you. I went ahead and marked my wrong side. I'm sorry, I marked my right side. So when I'm on the back, if I don't see that marker, I will know to go ahead and make the yarn come to the front. And that's one way to remember. Do I put the yarn in the front or the back? Okay, so you're going to continue moving on. Keep going with this repeat, slipping 1 with the yarn in front and knitting 3 all the way to the end of the row. Okay, I'll meet you back for row 3. Okay, we're on the third row, and I've got my stitch marker showing me that it's a right side row. So what does that mean? It means when we hold the yarn to the back, it will stay in the back. Okay, so we've got, this is our original beginning tail, so I'm just ignoring that for now. This right here is the ball, and I'm not going to cut it. Yeah, we're not going to have any tails to weave. I'm going to show you how to weave it up the side as you go. It's going to be really easy, but this very first time that we have it, just let it lay in the back here. Grab it so that this stitch is nice and taut so that you can get your needle in there and it's not loosey-goosey. Okay, so grab the yarn, the next yarn, which is color C, and this happens to be almond, and we're going to knit 1 stitch, and that gets us up to that first asterisk section. Okay, and we're going to slip the stitch purlwise with the yarn in back because we're on the right side, and then we're going to knit 3. So we're going to knit 1, 2, and 3. And see how the slip stitch is that old color? So you're going to start see this color appearing, this patterning that we're going to have. So now we're going to slip this one purlwise and knit 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can drop off those other tails. You don't have to hold on to them anymore. Okay. And you'll see that they're just now hanging right here. Okay. We're going to ignore this one. Later on, it'll get woven in, and I'm going to show you how to weave this one around when we come back to the next odd row. So you're going to continue slipping 1 and knitting 3. And when we get to the end, you're going to have 2 stitches left. You're going to slip 1 and knit 1, and then that's it. You'll be done on that row, and I'll meet you back up for the 4th row. Continue on. I'll see you in a moment. We're at the end of row 3, and just going to show you how I'm slipping that, and we just knit that last stitch. So you came to the end of all your repeats and had 2 left. So this is what it should look like, and then when we flip that over, you're not seeing the stitch marker, so you know that we're going to start slipping things with the yarn in the front. Now we're on the side of the pattern where it's going to be really easy to see where this yarn gets wrapped. This is actually what makes it really simple. So we're going to knit 1 just as we did on the previous row, and then we will slip one, purling with the yarn in the front. So you need to pull the yarn to the front, slip that stitch, and wrap it around, making it to the back. I say wrap because it makes me remember that has to be wrapped. So I wrap it and then knit the stitches that are the same color. Oops. Yeah, so we're going to knit 1, 2, 3. Okay, yarn front, slip and wrap. Okay, and then knit 1, 2, 3. Again, yarn front, we're slipping one purlwise, and then we're going to knit the next 3. So of course you put the yarn to the back, and that's what I'm calling it, a wrap. It's just, to me, it's easier in my head to remember that I'm wrapping it. So yarn front, slip, and then wrap, and then go again. All right, so you're going to continue on this row. It's going to start looking like this, where you see all these extra little wraps back here, and that is correct. When you look at it on the front, these will not be wrapped. So if you have something wrapped, you actually have an opportunity on the next row to fix that, and I can show you. I'll purposely mess one up here so that when we get to it, you'll be able to see how to fix it quickly. All right, I'll meet you back at the end of row 4. Okay, we're at the end of row 4. I'm going to go ahead and slip this last stitch here, wrap that yarn around, and knit. Turn our work. There's a couple things that happen on this row. One is we're going to teach you how to rotate these strands here so that you don't actually have to cut anything. And I want you to be prepared for how to do it. You'll do it the same way each time. Go ahead and mark the spot and the time for the video here if you need to learn how to repeat the sections. We're going to be repeating rows 1 through 4 to get this tweed, this slip tweed pattern here. Now, first I want you to know how to fix a mistake. So mark this spot as well for that. Fixing mistakes, if you look along your knitting here, you can see that all of these are slipped where the yarn is held at the back for that extra little color. Okay, there's no tan color, almond color right here. And you come along, and then I see this little line here. I'm like, what's that? Well, that's wrong. That's where the wrap is held at the back and not, it's held at the front and not at the back, which on the opposite side, it's held at the front when I'm turned over here. So anyway, we need to fix this. It's an easy fix. When we get up to it, we can fix it here. We don't have to go backwards. So as long as you spot it as you're going along, this is very easy to fix. So we'll get to that in a moment. I want you to see how to twist this up right here. Okay, so we're going to knit the first 3 stitches, but we're going to start working with the first color, which is color A. Always grab it from the bottom. Make sure you're, because you're in the beginning, make sure you're not hitting the tails, okay? So we're grabbing from the ball this color A and knitting the stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we're going to slip with the yarn in the back, just as we did before on the first row. And then we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, and slip, and then we continue on. Now I'm coming to this section, so you just keep repeating till the end, same as before. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to fix it. So I'm knitting to here, and then I say, oops, there's my oops. So I'm going to slip this stitch over to the opposite needle, and we're going to pick up this stitch here. It may be easier just to pick it up with the needle that I just slipped it to, and pick that wrap up, okay? And I slip it on to the other needle, and now I'm going to slip this stitch back over, and now I can pass it on top, okay? I'm going to pass it over the stitch so it just falls off the needle and hangs at the back. It's a little bit of a back and forth gymnastics. If you need to use your finger to help you, these large stitches are fine, but if you were working with a smaller yarn, that's how you would do it. You can kind of just pass it back and forth and pick up using the points, the tips, because they're finer than just using your fingers. So then we'll just continue knitting on. And it's easy to tell if you've knit 3 because you're going to have such a dramatic color change here. Now, if you're using closely related colors, you may have to do a little bit more counting. So we're going to slip this stitch and continue on in our pattern. Okay, so go ahead and finish row 1 and then work on row 2. And remember, you're going to be wrapping those and putting the yarn to the front on the second row. And I will meet you back up for row 3 and show you wrapping the edge one more time just so that you get the idea and see that twist going on. All right, pause your video and I'll meet you back in a moment. We are on the 3rd row. And we want to knit that first stitch and start slipping. So we're going to grab the yarn from underneath, from below, and knit that stitch. So we're on the next yarn. So we're just switching back and forth. And then we want to, because we're on the right side, we just slip that one with the yarn in the back and then knit 3. And I want to show you part 2 of fixing mistakes. There's one other mistake that can be easy to make, and I want to show it to you in case it happens to you. All right, so I'm going to slip one more and I'll show you the mistake. So take a moment and survey your work. See how it looks like little, I think they look like little noses right now. So you can see 1, 2, 3, and you can see that little bump, that purl bump across. And then I see this right here where it looks like I have an extra stitch and it's crisscrossing up here. That's where when you put the yarn, when you're holding it this way and you hold the yarn in the front, and then you're supposed to slip the stitch and put the yarn to the back again. When you're supposed to wrap it around like that, it's not actually wrapping correctly, and so it creates this extra little yarn over on top of it. So what you do is you get right up to it. So I'm knitting my stitch, and then we just want that yarn to go to the other side. So we just let it fall off. It's really easy to do. See how now it's held at the back, and then that looks like the rest of them. Pretty simple. So just knit that away. Okay, because if you don't do that, then you're going to end up with another stitch. If you just say, oh, I'm going to knit both of those, and then it doesn't work right. And if you need to just check your stitch count by counting, then that works too. All right, so just continue working those rows as they state in the pattern, and I think you are good to go from there. I will have you knit until you've got 48 inches. You're just going to measure from the beginning of your work until you've got about 48 inches, and then we are going to cast off. So it's best to take this when you think you're about 48 inches, get your work from week 1 and 2, and you're going to match it up along the side here and see if it's the same length. So we'll meet you back up. I'll show you what it all looks like. Pause your video and I'll see you in a little bit. Wow, now that is a handsome knitted fabric. That's what that is. Okay, so we are at the end of 48. Now I'm making the decision on mine to work with this color here because I have more of that color on my stitch holder, which is my cable needle here. And I want to bind off or cast off in whatever I have the most of. So if you're ending on a row where you've got more of your more of one color than the other, then use that color for the bind off. Okay, and we are not worried about if it matches the beginning or not, because it's more about lining up with the other 2 panels. So again, you're going to want to put the panel that you did from week 1 and 2 on the side of it and make sure you are at 48 inches or whatever your panel ended up working out to be. So we want to go ahead and knit the first 2 stitches. This is just like we did on the first week, and we're just going to lift the back loop over the front loop, and that one is bound off, and then knit the next one and do the same. So you're just going to go all the way across, and I'll meet you back at the very last stitch. See you in a little bit. Here we've got this last bit here, and you would knit this last stitch. I want to show you my bind off ended up being a little bit too tight in the beginning. It was a little tight here, so I switched it to knitting in the back loop, and it's a nice loose bind off. It's not, if you happen to be a tight knitter at the end and you notice it's going in, you could kind of frog back and go backwards a little bit. Frog just means to rip out your work. So this is how you knit through the back loop. I'm going to put my right needle in through the back of this loop here and knit it. Whoops, and well, you just lift that loop right over the top. So we're going to knit that, and then we're going to lift this loop over the top just as we would before, and you are done. So break your yarn, pull that out, and weave in your tails. So what did you think of clue 3? Isn't it fantastic? I love it, love it, love it. Whee! Okay, this is 48 inches of blissful, handsome, lovely knitted. No purl needed. Isn't that gorgeous? And then the back side is even more cool too. So they're both tweeted. It's a great pattern. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I love the fact that I had no pearls and it looks nice and flat. All right, so I can't wait to see the color scheme, how it came out in yours. Be sure and head on over to that Facebook event page so that we can see what you made, okay? So be sure and hashtag Handmade with Joanne and give me a hashtag GoodKnitKisses so that I can see it. Be sure and ask questions if you have any, and I can't wait to see you next week. Have a great day and happy knitting and crochet.